All right, I'm very pleased to introduce to you our speaker for today, Dr. Monica Wilson, who is the Coastal Debris Project Coordinator for Operation TRAP here at University of Florida, affiliated with the Soil, Water, and Ecosystem Science Department, the Nature Coast Biological Station, as well as Florida Sea Grant. Monica grew up in El Paso, Texas, and left home to attend Eckhart College to study marine science. She holds a PhD and Master's of Science in Physical Oceanography from the University of South Florida and a BS in Marine Science and Computer Science from Eckhart College. And as in her current role here at the Coastal Debris Project Coordinator for Operation TRAP, she oversees all aspects of the project, which focuses on prevention, removal, and research of common debris entering Florida's Gulf Coast waterways through stormwater systems. She coordinates the deployment, maintenance, and data collection and curation from these litter catchment devices that you're going to hear about today. She recruits, coordinates, and supervises our volunteers, as well as plans and executes community outreach events. And I'm really excited for all of the great things that Monica is going to show you and talk to you about today, and look forward also to hearing your feedback and questions. So with that, Monica, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Savannah. Thanks everyone for coming and joining us to our second annual Operation TRAP webinar. We are excited to share with you what we've been doing for the last couple of years during Operation TRAP. So let's go ahead and get started. So just a quick overview of what Operation TRAP, as Savannah mentioned, it focuses on the installation of interception technologies, data collection, and community engagement to encourage the reduction of single-use plastic items while physically intercepting and preventing litter from entering Florida's aquatic preserves in the Big Bend and Nature Coast region. This is a 4-year project funded by NOAA's Marine Debris Program and is in a collaboration between IFAS, the Nature Coast Biological Station, Soil, Water, Ecosystem Sciences, NOAA, and Florida Sea Grant. So what do? We basically use interceptor devices to capture litter at the source by installing these devices in different areas in Pasco County and Cedar Key in hopes to reduce the risk of wildlife entanglement or ingestion and helping to maintain the natural beauty of the aquatic preserves. We have partnered with, as I mentioned, FDP, Pasco, and Levy County officials, and have implemented these technologies with the aim to build a local infrastructure better able to contribute to global and nationwide plastic interception goals. So just a quick background about the aquatic preserves. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Aquatic Preserve Program is a state-managed program that focuses on Florida's living waters and aims to preserve submerged resources for the enjoyment of future generations. There are 42 aquatic preserves in Florida, and they all experience some sort of marine debris influence, whether it be from direct use like boat strandings or derelict fishing gear accumulation, or indirect causes from upland influences like litter. The 3 aquatic preserves located within the Big Bend Nature Coast are highlighted on this map, and they are the Big Bend Seagrasses, St. Martin's, and Nature Coast. They span 8 counties and encompass roughly 1 million acres of continuous state-managed submerged resources. All 3 preserves in this region have specific objectives focused on marine debris reduction, and these areas accumulate marine debris primarily as a result of storms and tourism impacts. And so the goal of, with this grant, we have begun the process of addressing the single-use materials that enter the aquatic preserve waterways through the drainage systems and boat access points. And the grant enables partnerships with coastal municipalities to implement proven trash interception technologies needed to stem the flow of debris into Florida's aquatic preserve waters. The project goal is to install anywhere from 38 to 63 devices during a 3-year period. And as of today, we have installed a total of 41 interceptor devices, which I will get into now. There are 3 types of interceptor devices that we have installed. They include monofilament tubes, boom catchment devices, and storm drain traps. The monofilament recycling containers are PVC receptacles that are installed at public access points, such as boat ramps, fishing gears, and kayak launches. These are collection bins. I'm sure most people have seen them. They're pretty common. That they're durable and proven. They are a proven method to intercept monofilament line. As part of our project, we have made a modification to the monofilament tubes, as you see in the picture on the left. And so the ones that we have been installing have been this modified version where the tops of the tubes have a smaller opening in hopes to minimize the amount of trash that gets put into the tubes. The boom catchment devices, which is the picture in the middle, are designed to stretch across canals or creeks to capture floating debris in slow-moving water. The device occupies the top layer of the water, so therefore it does not impede wildlife access. Installation simply involves site visits to make sure the chosen locations are feasible and to get an idea of the boom length that is needed. Water goats are attached to either a tree using an anchor that is put into the ground or on a sturdy post. And then storm drain traps, which is the picture on the right, are designed to be installed into existing stormwater drainage systems and are available for purchase from many different vendors in a wide variety of sizes to accommodate multiple storm drain design. So as part of this project, we do maintenance and data collection. Clean outs, that we call them, are conducted once a month. Each interceptor device has a different clean out protocol. In these pictures, you see us cleaning out the monofilament tubes, the water goats, which are the boom catchment devices, and the storm drain traps. As far as the storm drain traps go, to empty and maintain the device, we remove the drainage grate or manhole covering, lift the basket out, as you see in the picture on the bottom right, and empty the contents, sort and catalog materials collected based off of the International Trash Trap Network data collection protocol, and then dispose of contents that are found. As for the water goats, the trash collected from the booms is assessed using EPA's Escaped Trash Assessment Protocol, also known as ETAP, and I will further most likely say ETAP from here on out. Once all the trash has been collected from the device, the ETAP is conducted on a subsample of the trash that was collected. Data from that subsample is separated by the categories listed on the ETAP worksheet. They're weighed and recorded. As far as the monofilament tubes, the operation team created a Google form that gives volunteers step-by-step instructions on how to collect the data that is needed, but they simply empty all contents into a bucket, weigh the bucket with all contents, and then separate trash versus fishing-related, and then weigh fishing-related materials in the bucket to get an idea of exactly how much trash we're capturing versus fishing-related items. Any data that is, all data that we get is shared through our TRAP project website during education outreach opportunities and K through 12 public school programs, as well as through mobile pop-up education events. We are also happy to share it with whomever would like to use it to further steer decision-making regarding litter and single-use items, as well as to the public to foster behavioral change. So now I'm going to go ahead and get into the data. We are going to start first with the storm drain trap interceptor devices. So just a reminder, this is what they look like. These pictures show 3 different brands of storm drain traps that we have used. So I will go ahead and talk about those now. So in Cedar Key, we have installed 10 storm drain traps and 2 monofilament tubes. The 2 teardrops in green show the monofilament tubes, and then the teardrops in red, yellow, and blue show the 3 different brands of storm drain traps. Cedar Key is being used as a test site to test different brands. And again, the colors on the map correspond to that type of trap installed at each site. Having 3 different types of storm drain traps in similar areas allows us to compare installation, maintenance, and trash collection for each brand within conditions of such as weather and traffic patterns. So I just want to show this up close in a little bit, where the traps are located, and in the upcoming graphs, I'm going to be talking about regional averages for Cedar Key. And so I just want to highlight that these circles on the map are going to indicate the regions that we are talking about. This allows us to look at our data not only per trap, but also by region. So when we look at the data by region, we can find some interesting things. The colors of the circles will correspond with the data you'll be seeing on the next couple of slides that I mentioned. So the blue circles, or the blue will represent the G Street region, which are traps 1 through 3. The green is the C Street region, which are traps 4, 5, and 10. And then the gray will represent the traps on the bridge, traps 6 through 9. So looking into the data, this graph shows the total debris count by site. So everything we have captured thus far. As you can see, there's a large difference in the amount of trash that's being captured at G Street, which are the blue bar graphs, versus C Street and the bridge. 3 sites on the bridge. Just in general, 3 out of the 4 sites on the bridge have captured more trash than all traps except for site 4. As I mentioned, G Street is, as you saw on the map, is in a neighborhood area. So there is not a lot of traffic going through. So we expect to not see too much trash in those traps. And this is what this bar graph is also showing. The next bar graph shows the percent of organic material being captured in each of the storm drain traps. So again, based off of the locations of the traps, this figure shows exactly what we would expect. The traps at G Street that are in a neighborhood see the highest percentages of organics, whereas the traps on the bridge see the least. They are, again, on the bridge, so there is there's no trees or not any bushes or anything like that near most of the traps on the bridge. However, I mean, we still get some, but it's definitely not as high as the ones we see in G Street. And then the green ones are in the middle, in between. Of course, there's some more foot traffic area, but there is shrubbery and trees and other things that do fall into the grades that make the organic content and percentages a little higher than what we see on the bridge. So switching views now, we're going to go ahead and move into regional averages over time. Again, the colors are still the same. They still represent the same regions at Cedar Key. As you can see here, there's a gap in October 24. We did not collect any data that month due to the impacts from Hurricane Helene. However, we can see that the traps on the bridge, the gray line, had the most amount of trash pre and post Hurricane Helene. Then in March of 2025, the differences in the amount of trash captured on the bridge and C Street has started to, the gap in between the two amounts is starting to become smaller and kind of even out March 2025 and on. So we are interested to see the impacts of rainfall on the amounts of trash that we are capturing at these sites. So we have overlaid monthly rainfall from Levy County. You see that line is in red. You can see that we do tend to get some spikes in the amount of trash collected when there is an increase in rainfall. However, I do want to point out that rainfall data shown is monthly rainfall averages for Levy County. So it's not specific to the city of Cedar Key. However, we can still see that there is some sort of correlation of rainfall to the amount of debris that we are capturing. So just before I get to the next graph, I want you all to look at the spikes of trash that we see on the bridge site pre and post Hurricane Helene. So we have this peak here in July and August. We have the gap, and then we have another peak in December and January of 2024 and 2025. So just based off that, we wanted to take a closer look into regional differences based off of the most caught item that we have seen in Cedar Key. And for Cedar Key, cigarette butts has been the #1 item we've captured. So we decided to take a look at the regional averages of cigarette butts. And what we found is that we went from seeing an average of 90 cigarette butts on the bridge, as you see here in the gray, prior to Hurricane Helene, to less than 10 afterwards on the bridge. And as you saw on the graph before, there was a spike after Hurricane Helene as far as all contents goes, but for cigarette butts, there was not a spike. So post-Helene, we can see that in this graph that there was actually an uptake in the number of cigarette butts being found at the C Street traps in green that you see, the green line that you see here. So Helene caused quite a bit of damage to Cedar Key. The bridge, the shops, and the restaurants were all damaged pretty badly during the hurricane. So post-Helene, the bridge was closed. So all auto and foot traffic pretty much had ceased for the few months after Helene. And that traffic was then basically moved over or was rerouted to C Street, where businesses were still open. Pop-up shops had opened, some restaurants and other shops that had damage brought their shops and did more pop-up shops or like almost food truck type things or just mobile shops to keep them going while repairs were being done. And those shops were brought to C Street. So what we see here from just this figure is that we can see the differences of where the humans went pre and post Hurricane Helene. As we see now, again, as I mentioned in the past, now starting in October 2025, the gap between the two regions is slowly moving. The bridge is open. Restaurants and bars are coming back on Dock Street, which is where the bridge goes and where a lot of the tourists goes once the bridge is open. So we are now seeing more of a similar amount of cigarette butts in both locations. However, it was interesting to see that we could see the difference as far as the bridge closure and the amount of cigarette butts we were seeing on the bridge versus C Street pre and post hurricane. So here's a snapshot of what we have collected in the Cedar Key storm drain traps based off of the International Trash Trap Network's data collection protocol. As you can see by the graph, the top 3 collected items in Cedar Key are cigarette butts, construction materials, and paper bag pieces, followed by plastic pieces. To date, we have captured over 8,900 pieces of large debris in Cedar Key, and by large debris, I mean probably, not micro. We don't do microplastics. All the baskets in our storm drain traps have 5mm mesh size baskets. So anything 5mm and higher is what we're or larger is what we're capturing. So when we conduct these cleanouts, we do find things that are not listed within these categories. And so it does tend to go in the other category, which you see here in the 1, 2, 6 or 7 slot. And so we do take notes on the items that are in the other category, as well as more specific items under each category, such as construction materials. That can include screws, paint, drywall. And so we do take note of that. So we don't just, we'll take note of it in the construction material notes section. So to take a picture, and then we also take pictures of anything that we capture. So we have pictures of all the trash captured per site per cleanout. But to get an idea of what other types of things we are capturing, we decided to produce a word cloud based off of the count of common terms that were found in our notes section of our worksheets. As you can see here, rubber is the most common term, followed by foam, tape, and wood. And the table on the right shows the top 20 word frequencies in our notes section. And there is no column for rubber or wood. Foam is usually construction foam that's being used in homes. And as Cedar Key rebuilds, we have been finding a little bit more insulation and foam and construction materials. And so we take note of that. And this is just to kind of show you what other items we are capturing that are not listed on in the protocol that we are using. So as I mentioned, Cedar Key is a test site for different brands of storm drain traps. And so as we go out monthly to conduct these cleanouts, we also take notes on the pros and cons of the different types of traps. Having 3 different types of storm drain traps allows us to compare installation, maintenance for each trap, while all in similar areas that experience similar conditions. So here's just a list of lessons that we have learned so far. Some of these storm drain traps are customized. And so they are customized specifically for that storm drain basin. Other traps like the litter trap come in set sizes, and then you customize it using the black seals that you see in that middle picture outlined in red. Those black sealants then help you just completely close out any holes or gaps that are needed or that are in the storm drain basin once the basket is installed. So what we've come to find out about the custom storm drain traps, they do take longer to manufacture and receive. And due to the customization of the traps, they cannot be relocated to a new storm drain unless it's similar in size and shape. Also, we've noticed that once they do get damaged, they are difficult to fix because they are metal. And so if they get bent in any way, to try to hammer them out and get them back fitting nicely is a little bit of a challenge. As far as installation goes, the customized traps require less tools and are drop-in ready. You literally go pull out the grate and drop it in and you're done. The non-customized traps require more tools. They require training for installation, drilling into existing structure, although it's not much, it's 2 anchor bolts, but it still requires some extra tools and knowledge of how to install them properly. As far as the trap removal goes, removals of trap can be difficult depending on the size of the trap. Like the customized ones that slip in, you have to take the whole thing out and put the trap back in. as far as, but some of the traps, like the trap on the bottom highlighted in yellow, there's a basket, so you just take the basket out, which makes it more convenient. However, not all baskets are easily removable from the traps. So in cases where the entire trap needs to be removed, weighing of the actual trap can be a little difficult. As far as the baskets go, some baskets are not as secure, causing fear that they could slip if they get too heavy. They slip off the bracket and might slip into the storm drain basin. The materials of the basket can affect the amount of sediment captured. Some of the baskets are made out of nylon or have two layers of nylon, and sediment can get stuck in between, whereas some of the other baskets that are made out of a different material can easily just, when you pull the basket out, you can shake it and it sifts out a lot of the sediment that we are not trying to measure when we are conducting our cleanouts. As far as maintenance and durability, all traps had little to no impacts from the hurricanes that we've seen. What we are seeing is that some of the materials on the traps are degrading over time, which can not only make it difficult to pull traps out, but can also, we can find it in our basket and it's now being counted as litter instead of being part of the actual device itself. So we'll move now on to Pasco County. This is a graph of the locations of Pasco County for all three types of storm drain devices. There are 16 storm drain traps that you see here in blue. There are 4 water goats or boom catchment devices that are shown in teal, and the 12 monofilament tubes are shown in lime green. And we will continue on with the storm drain traps, the data of the storm drain traps in Pasco County. So this graph shows the total amount of debris per site. The colors on the graph correspond to the time that the traps were installed. We did storm drain installation in 2 phases for Pasco County. The traps from phase 1 have been installed since June 2024, and the traps from phase 2 have been installed since February 2025. And I forgot to mention this, the storm drain traps that we're using in Pasco County are all of one brand. They're all EnviroPod. Again, we are not using Pasco County as a site as a brand comparison. So they all have the same brand of storm drain trap. What we can see from here is site 13. It's on Moog Road, which is a fairly busy road where there is quite a bit of car traffic, as well as homes that were impacted by the hurricanes and were under construction. So we see a large amount of trash captured in that specific trap. Site 25 on the very end in green is located in a park. It's literally located under a pipe that empties from the pool / rec center that's located at the park. So we capture a lot of things from the pool, such as goggle straps and paint chips that are coming off the pool, and a few other things, beads and lots of things. And that trap was installed in phase 2 and has already become our trap that captures the second largest amount of trash in the basket itself. One of the sites with the lowest amount of debris is site 3. Site 3 only has about 6 pieces of trash. It's located in the middle of under a tree in the middle of Anklet River Park. You'll see the location later, but this area where the trap is not busy area at all. So it doesn't get a lot of foot traffic. PC10, which is the next one of the lower ones as well. It was in a neighborhood. Unfortunately, the basket was removed twice, and we don't know by who. So we stopped collecting monthly data on that. So that is why we see such a low number. As far as PC12, which is one of the next lowest, is on a street in a neighborhood that has no outlet. So the only traffic that goes in and out is of those who live on that street. The neighborhood is well kept, so we mostly get organic debris and not much. As far as PC20, it's one of the ones that we did put in phase 2, but still gets a lower amount of trash. It's located right outside Warner Boys State Park. So there's, again, not a lot of foot traffic. And there's also not a lot of businesses or buildings in the area. So we get a lot of organic material, which I will show in this next slide. This is, again, a slide of organic material by site. The site with the highest percentage is site 3, which I mentioned earlier in my previous slide. As you can see from this picture, the trap is located under a tree in part of the park that does not see a lot of foot traffic. The actual grassy area is even roped off to discourage vehicles from driving through the grass and not on the windy road around it. So we seem to, that is why we think we do not get any garbage and mostly organic material, 99.9% organic material at that site. PC22 is the site that has the lowest percentage of organics. This site is located close to an intersection of between Fox Hollow and US 19, which not only sees a lot of foot traffic by cars, but also a lot of folks. We see folks walking up and down that road quite often when we are collecting trash. And there's also a neighborhood and a convenience store next to it. So we tend to see a lot of garbage in that trap. And there, again, although there's a grassy area behind it, there aren't a lot of trees or brushes around it too that would have falling leaves or organic debris that would come into that trap. So 72.3% is the percent organics that we see in that trap. Now we're doing a comparison of total debris amount from all sites over time against a 1 month lag of monthly rainfall for Pasco County. When we were plotting this, we decided a 1 month lag actually showed a good showed a great comparison between the amount of trash and the amount of rain that we're seeing. A good correlation between the increased rainfall and the debris capture. However, I do want to point out again that the rainfall data shown is in monthly rainfall averages for all of Pasco County, so it's not very granular. However, it does give us a good idea that the impacts of rain do have some sort of impact on the amount of trash that we are capturing in these traps. And also, I do want to point out here also that you see a gap again in October 2024. Again, Hurricane Helene and Milton were around that time, and they prevented us from going out to do any type of cleanouts. So we do not necessarily see an increased count, or we don't have data for October, but we do see an increase in the amount of trash that was captured in September versus November, which we can basically, which we think that is due to the increased rainfall during that time. Again, here's another snapshot of what we have collected in Pasco County storm drain traps based off the International Trash Trap Network categories. The top 3 items collected in Pasco are plastic pieces, construction materials, and cigarette butts come in third. And to date, we have captured over 9,800 large debris in Pasco County storm drain traps. And so again, we decided to do another word cloud based off of the count of common terms found in our notes section. And again, we see rubber again comes out on top as the item with the highest occurrences in our notes. And you also see McDonald's. There's a few brands in there, just a few other things, concrete, wood. Again, more specific construction materials that if we do find them, we'd like to write down the notes so we understand exactly what types of construction materials we are finding. And again, rubber is not an item in the ITT network protocol data sheet, so we do write it quite a bit. And we are seeing that we do see quite a bit of it in both, or it's our number 1 item in both Cedar Key and Pasco County from our notes section. So this slide, just a few pictures of what we've captured, just to give you an idea of things that are coming in for both Pasco County and Cedar Key. The picture in the bottom right also shows badges that we have installed. That these badges are installed near the storm drains that have our traps installed, so folks can, if they see it, our website's on there, they can come out and check the website out and see what we're doing and what we're all about. So yeah, so the 2 pictures on the left, top and bottom, are from Site 13 at Pasco County. That's on Moo Road, the site that has captured the most trash up to date, up to now. And then the next 2 or the next 3 pictures are from Cedar Key, just different items that we have captured during our cleanouts in Cedar Key. The top middle picture is a close-up of some sort of material that we captured quite a bit in Cedar Key. It seems like a asphalt paint material. We haven't figured out exactly what it is, but when we do see items of similar, a lot of similar same items like this, we try to take a picture to see if we can figure out where it's coming from, if there's anything we can do to try and prevent that from that material keep getting into the traps, or maybe there's something that can be done that could minimize the amount of material that's escaping and getting into our storm drain traps. So next we'll go ahead and speak about the boom catchment device. This picture is the water goat that is located at one of our sites in Anklote. This is in September, right before Hurricane Helene hit. This is the trash that was in the water goat right prior to the hit Hurricane Helene coming through the Gulf Coast area. So this graph shows an estimated trash per site. All we have four, as I mentioned, we have four water goats located in Pasco County, and those are all represented by the colored lines. The black dotted line shows a 2-month lag of monthly rainfall for Pasco County. We did the same thing we did with storm drain traps, lagged the rainfall data to see how quickly rainfall would impact the different types of traps, the amount of trash we're seeing in the different types of trash. And we came to see that a 2-month lag seemed to fit the curves of the increased trash that we are seeing in our water goat data. And so as far as the types of trash we're capturing in our water goats, as mentioned before, we use the EPA's Escape Trash Assessment Protocol to conduct the cleanouts at the water goats. ETAP has broad categories by material type, and then within each of those categories, there's more specified items. So based off of the subsamples of trash that ETAP is conducted on, 76% of the material type that we find in our water goats is plastic, with other being the next highest at 18%. The other category lists items such as textiles, personal hygiene, toys, electronics, and fishing gear are just to name a few. So now we're going to take a look at the data within each of these categories. So here's a table that shows the amount of items that are captured within each material type category. And as I mentioned before, items made of plastic are what we find the most of. So far, we've seen over 5,000 typed plastic trash in from our water goats. And to get just more specific, within the plastic category, styrofoam pieces make up the majority of what we see within this category, with over 2,100 pieces of styrofoam found to date. The second highest item in this category is the hard plastic fragments, with only 745. So there's quite a large difference between the most caught item versus the second highest item that we find in this category. And as with the storm drain traps, we also take notes as far as brand types. The ETAP worksheet does have a list for brands that we can, if we see them, we can go ahead and write them down. And we do every clean out. We go, and if there's any visible branding on any types of the trash that we're capturing, we make a note out of it. So again, we decided to produce another word cloud to see what brands that we were finding the most of. And here is that word cloud. As you can see, right in the middle in large, bold navy blue, we see Walmart. And so not only that, but the bar graph on the right shows the top 20 ETAP brand items that we find. And you can see Racetrack is number 2, Gatorade's up there. We also see other types of Walmart brands. Great Value is a Walmart brand. Members Mark is also in there. But we also see, Wawa, Polar Pop, Big Gulp. Lots of different branding that we do see. And it was actually interesting when we were creating this word cloud in the top 20 ETAP items. We realized it's interesting to see that note taking can make the data processing a little harder. When I first developed this bar graph, Racetrack was listed 3 times because some of our water goats are adopted. And so we have seen volunteers that come and clean them out, and we give them all the supplies, and then they send back the notes, and I just type them in and put them in our data sheet. Well, when conducting this, I realized Racetrack can be spelled 3 different ways. Some spell it with a K at the end, some spell it with a CK at the end. So trying to do QA QC on that data does take a little bit of time, just because of folks spell things differently. And so having to compare and make sure that things are represented correctly in the data did take a little time, but we finally got it. And we can see the different types of brand names, or even items. They're not all brand names. Though, wood is in there. We do capture quite a bit amount of large wood planks. And so you can see that there. Lighters are in there, toys. And so, so there's quite a bit of different things that we can see from this graph. And and check out what types of brand items we are capturing. And as far as Walmart goes, I will say that we find a lot of Walmart grocery bags. And so when we do find the grocery bags, we do list which store they came from. So I can with lots of confidence say that those are probably all Walmart plastic bags that we are capturing. Because if it's a Walmart brand type of food or bottle, we would write great value, not just Walmart. So just a little piece of knowledge there. And so here are a few pictures of some of the things that we have captured from the water goats. Plastic chairs, Twinkies, tires, desks, bikes, all sorts of different things. When we do get the materials, all materials collected and then properly disposed of or recycled if possible. So next on to our last interceptor device, the monofilament tubes. As you see here, these 3 tubes are pictures of the tubes that we have modified with the smaller opening and that have been installed in Pasco County. We did take over some of the plastic tubes that were already installed by Keep Pasco Beautiful. With our partnership, we decided to take them over and conduct the clean outs at some of the locations where we were also going to be installing one of our modified tubes. So here you can see a picture of the modified tube at the top and then the traditional classic tube at the bottom. And so this graph actually shows that the modified tubes have done a decent job of minimizing the amount of trash that they are collecting. So this graph, we have a location called Eagle Point Park in Pasco County that has 4 tubes. 2 of them are the modified and 2 of them are the classic tube. The modified tubes on this graph are in purple and green solid lines, and then the classic tubes are in the red and blue dotted lines. So we can see that 2 of the sites, the EPP1 and EPP2 with the dotted lines are the traditional tubes. And we can see that those tubes with the larger opening are still getting a larger amount of trash than our modified tubes that we have installed. And so just for kicks, we decided to also look at the total weight of all contents by site. So we do separate the trash versus fishing related debris and take notes of that. But just to get an idea of the amount of the difference in the tubes, the modified tube versus the classic tube, this graph shows the total weight of all content. So it shows the trash also that's being captured in some of these tubes. And the blue are modified. The blue bars on this graph show the modified tubes that we have installed, and the green show the classic tubes with the 6-inch opening. So we can see that the classic tubes are still capturing a much larger amount of trash, and so it's safe to say that our modified tubes are keeping some of the trash out. They do capture a little bit, but they're doing a pretty decent job of making sure that folks don't, throw bottles of water or cans of things in some of these modified tubes just slowly based that the opening on the tube is now smaller than the 6-inch tube. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and actually talk about something new that we have just released on our website. We have developed this is a picture of our website, and we have actually developed a new interactive data dashboard. So if you see here, you can go to our website and click here on the interactive dashboard, or go under the data tab, and you will be brought to this page that shows our new interactive dashboard. So when you simply click on the dashboard itself, or on this picture that is on the web page, you'll be brought to this dashboard. And it has as you see on the left, it has a tab for Pasco County and a tab for Cedar Key. On the homepage, you get a overview of what we've done to date with the number of cleanouts that we've conducted, the total amounts of litter, pieces of trash that we've captured in all of our storm drain traps, and then a total amount of debris collected from the water goats. And as you can see too, we also have a comparison of the amount of trash that we've collected between Cedar Key and Pasco County over time. And there's some more, you can also, if you scroll down, it'll also show you the water goats over time, the amount of trash we've captured of the water goats over time, but I couldn't get it all in the screenshot. So what you do is you go over, and if you click on either the Pasco County, which is what I did here, the Pasco County tab, it'll bring you to a map that shows you the location of all of our devices. They are shown and they're coordinated by color. And so what happens if you do decide to click on a site, say here we clicked on the site PC14, it will zoom in to the location of that site, and then it'll pull up a bar graph showing you, you have the option to pick the date range that you would like to see data from. It automatically goes to the total range, to the total date range that we have data for, but you can make it into smaller gaps if you'd like, or smaller ranges. And it also shows you the top items that we've captured. So here for PC14, plastic pieces is the #1 item, with construction materials and then cigarette butts next. And then it also shows you the amount of trash that's been captured at that specific site over time. So it gives you categories and then also trash over time. And it'll do that for any of these for any of the devices. If you go to Cedar Key, it shows the same. It'll show you a map similar to what you saw in my presentation. You can click on a site and it'll zoom in and again bring up the data specific to that site. And so that again is located on our website, and we're happy to share that with anybody. And if you ever, as I mentioned, we like to share our data with whomever. So if there is ever a time where you need more specified data, or you would just like to have a table of data from a certain time, we are happy to share that with you. You can just contact me, and I will share my contact information at the end of the presentation. So as of today, our current totals so far, the water goats, we have captured over 3,700 pounds of trash, an estimated 3,700 pounds of trash. We've captured almost 18,000 pieces of trash in our storm drain traps, 38 pounds of fishing-related debris from the monofilament tube. So that's just only fishing-related items. We've had over 238 volunteers help us either with storm drain traps or water goats that come and help us clean them out. And we've had over 1,200 public encounters, whether that be out in the streets while we're doing cleanouts or at public outreach events, such as science festivals and open houses at the Nature Coast Biological Station. So what's next? So we want to continue to recruit and train volunteers to conduct our cleanouts. We want to develop a municipality toolkit where we actually share all of this information that we are learning by doing this about the different brands and the cleanouts and how to conduct something like this. Similarly, if hoping to write a municipality toolkit that we can share with others who are interested in doing something similar within their communities, cities, or counties. We do want to install more interceptor devices and expand the project, which I will talk about in a little bit more. And then we will also want, obviously, develop stewards of Florida's sensitive coastal resources, encourage lifestyle changes is an ultimate goal of ours as well. So I do want to speak a little bit more about this expansion of our project. So we are now in year 3, and one of our goals is to expand into other cities, counties, areas in Florida. And so I do want to share that as part of our project, Operation TRAP has funding for the purchase of devices. We have funding to support travel for myself and possible other team members to come and help install the devices, train the folks on how to maintain and do data collection. We have funding to supply the initial set of gear needed to complete the cleanouts, and to also provide ongoing support and troubleshooting. And then we also have our database and website. So we would keep, if anybody's interested in expanding and they have installed storm drain traps or water goats in their area and they're collecting data and sharing with it, we will be sharing all that data together in our public database, on our website, and on our dashboard, so you and the partners can see or share the data publicly. What we would need from anyone who is interested in collaborating with us is we would need assistance in identifying sites and getting permission from the local government to install the storm drain traps. And then we would also need, get permission. We would need their help getting the permission, as I mentioned, need help with the commitment to maintain and submit data from the devices for at least 1 full year. And all that, as I mentioned, the data would be submitted to myself and I would enter it into our database and upload it into our dashboard. And so exactly what are the steps that are involved for expansion or installation? So the first would be to find or contact me. And then we would start talking about finding suitable locations and sites in your area, and then contact the appropriate city, county representatives and get permission from those that we need to install these interceptor devices. We would need to give the sites to NOAA for approval, then obtain required permits. Once we do all that, we can order the devices, install them, and then start the training on the maintenance. And just to, you do have to measure for the storm drain traps. We do have to take measurements of the sites, but that can be done anytime prior to ordering the interceptor devices. So I just want to put that out there in case anyone is interested in possibly bringing some of these interceptor devices into their counties and communities. We are looking to collaborate and expand the project. And so if you are interested, please contact me. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you. Thank you for listening. Our website is listed there on my slide, as long as also with my email. So if you are interested, again, please contact me, and we'd be happy to chat and start a conversation on how we can possibly bring these to your area. So on that note, I'm done, and we can go ahead and take questions if there are any.
Awesome. Yeah, Monica, we do have some questions in the chat. So there was one that I'll just briefly address about if this will be shared, and we'll definitely send an email with the link to the recording as well as post it on our Nature Coast Biological Station YouTube. So anyone who wasn't here today can definitely get that information. So the first question for you, Monica, is generally about budget and about how many staff people, full or part-time, are associated with the project.
So me. As Savannah mentioned, I'm the one who maintains. We are lucky enough, though, to have golf scholar interns. UF has a golf scholar program that we submit application or proposals for, and we've been lucky enough to get funding to have a full-time intern. And they're basically their job is to go out with me and collect and do the clean outs and collect the data. So it's really two people. We do, as I mentioned, we do get volunteers. So sometimes we have 4 to 5 folks, half volunteers, half are paid. But honestly, there's just 2 of us that are getting paid to actually do the clean outs themselves.
Yeah, we're lucky being at the university that we have some other internship programs and sometimes some other support staff that can lend a hand.
And I do also want to mention that I didn't mention this because I didn't talk a lot about volunteer work due to time, but we do have a volunteer or adopt program. So we do have some volunteers that have adopted our monofilament tubes, and we give them the supplies, the scale, give them the QR code to the Google form, and they go out once a month and clean them out themselves. We also have that available for our water goats. We have a mother-daughter team that adopted one of our water goats in Pasco County, and again, a year commitment. So it will so they go out and we send out, again, we provide them everything that's needed to clean out. We provide them the training to conduct the clean outs and how to conduct whichever protocol for that. For water goats, it's the ETAP. So we provide the training on that, and they send me pictures of the worksheets once a month. And so that's, we do have that option too. So if you have a good set of volunteers, it's very possible that you wouldn't have to conduct a clean out, that your volunteers could do it as
well. Awesome. The next question is, how broadly is this data shared with companies? For example, as grocery stores and others think about how to eliminate plastic bag use or replace with more environmentally friendly options.
We are making the data available to anybody who's interested in learning more. So whether that be municipalities that want to make some changes within their counties and cities, we are happy to share it with them. This is why we also try to do this webinar, to get folks that we are collaborating with, to get them here and learn more about exactly what it is we are capturing. So maybe they can also take it back to whomever they need to talk to try to make some changes. But our data is publicly available to whomever wants to have it.
Awesome. And I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat right now, but if folks would like, they could also unmute or raise their hand and ask Monica a question. And I also wanted to let y'all know that I did throw the link to the Operation Trap website in the chat if you would like to go and learn more about the adoption program, as well as access the link to the dashboard that Monica showed.
Mhm. And we
Okay,
also,
next.
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Monica.
I was going to mention also, I didn't mention this, but one of our summer interns created a class, a Canvas class, that we have all our volunteers go through, and it details exactly what needs to be done for the storm drain traps and the water goats. So if there is a possibility that someone wants to bring these to them and we can't necessarily go in person to train them, we have videos that we can share with them that teaches them exactly what needs to be done as well.
Yeah, that's another level of support we can offer is that online training. Next question is, are there certain areas or cities that are under consideration for the expansion?
Yes, we have heard from folks in Hillsborough County, uh, Port St. Lucie, and Martin County have also expressed interest. There's another group up in the Panhandle that actually um, has storm drain traps up in, I think it's Panama City. I think that's correct. Yes, thank you, Savannah. They also got funding from NOAA Marine Debris, so they have some there. So there are a few groups, but again, if anyone's interested, we are happy to hear and have a conversation if anyone's interested in bringing these devices to their communities.
And I see you also put your email there in the chat for folks.
Yes, I did.
Yes. And the follow-up email with the recording will also likely come from you. So everyone here should get an email from you in addition.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Last call for questions. We are getting close to the end of the hour. Okay, how many hours per month does this take?
Okay. So it depends. Again, Cedar Key, where we have 10 storm drain traps, we usually get 2 volunteers. We have a father-son group that have been consistently volunteering. So with 4 of us, we can clean out 10 traps in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Pasco County, however, as I mentioned, Cedar Key, they're all very close. So there's not a lot of driving time. As far as Pasco County, where they are they are dispersed all over the county, from North County to South County. There's a lot of driving time. So with me and my intern, it usually does take, anywhere from 8:30 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. But again, that's taking in driving time. So if you're considering having these and you want someone to it take less time to clean them out, I would suggest putting them in close proximity to one another. The water goats, again, it just depends on how much. We do all 3 water goats in one day, plus the monofilament tubes in one day, all together. So we would be out there from 8:30 to 2:30. But one water goat, the anklet water goat that you saw the picture of, usually has more trash than most of them. So that could take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. Whereas the one of the water goats that has the least amount of trash takes us 30 minutes. So it just depends. But it's not like we're out there all day. For one, but you wouldn't be out there all day for one water goat.
One thing to mention also is that that time includes the time it takes to take the detailed data that you just saw. And a lot of these devices, the manufacturers say that you can go longer than 1 month in between cleanouts. And also if your goal is to just clean it, you could literally just dump it into a trash can and move on. You wouldn't have to necessarily take all of the data,
Yes.
especially if you were committing to these long-term as a municipality. So
yes, very good.
It's
Yeah.
a smaller commitment than people think.
Right. Yes, and as I mentioned, this is a pilot project, so characterization of the data is very important to us, so we can share things like this to the folks who need it to make some decisions. So that is why we do that. But Savannah's right; it takes longer when you're categorizing the data.
We love data.
Yes, and then
so,
I just saw Emily put in a plug for the golf scholars who are interested in the program. Yes, please apply. We love our golf scholars. They are amazing. They help and they do such a great job. So if anyone from US and is a student that's on here, please feel free to apply.
we do have an open call right now, don't we? We have a position open for the fall.
Yeah. Yes, and that is going to end on the application will close on August 9th. So if you're interested, get your application in. That is also located on our website, or again, feel free to email me and it's actually located on the Nature Coast Biological Station, but feel free to email me and I can point you in the right direction.
Right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for coming, and we'll send out a follow-up, like I said, with the recording and maybe some of these other links that we've mentioned. And hopefully we will hear from some of you or see you next year for our year 3 years of data report out.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.